Okay,
Why does that happen?
for me, I think that's dangerous, though I understand why people do it. Dimash is a good example of this, but is because when they have these on, a lot of times they're struggling with being able to feel like they can have what's called absolute pitch. So they'll take. Back here with Gabby Gunn, and the question is, how do you sing on pitch?
How?
You asking me? I just roll the dice and do a couple of those. No, that's a big subject, and I don't want to make this bigger than is necessary, but a lot of people have pitch issues for different reasons. Some people just are tone deaf and they can't hear a note. Some people are just a little off pitch. Usually people are under pitch and they don't hear it, but let me give you one example of this. I've shared this before, I'm going to share it again. When we go up in a scale, and this is one example of pitch, and there's hundreds of them, so we're only going to narrow one down right now. When we go up in a scale, okay, the higher up we go, the more pressure mounts in the head, okay? So the more pressure that mounts in the head, the less we have an equilibrium, I'm going to call it, for hearing pitch. Now, let me explain this. When you have the Doppler effect of a train that's coming at you and going by, it goes, and the apparent pitch of that train, or the sound of the train, or the horn of the train seems to change from a higher pitch to a lower pitch as it comes at you and then departs and leaves. So you have pressure coming at you that's higher, and then the lower, or the more that pressure system goes away, it actually exits and sounds lower in pitch. Now I want you guys to try something. I've said this before, but I really want you to try it. I want you to get yourself a pair of closed back headphones, not open, closed back headphones. And if you have the luxury of a stereo or something, I want you to turn the stereo on in the room at a reasonable volume. And then I want you to put the headphones on and turn them up pretty good. And I want you to go like this. It's the exact same thing as the Doppler effect of the train coming at you. Now, atmospherically, yes, the earth is big, so you think there's no pressure that's mounting that could cause this effect, but indeed it does. So you're in this room, and the room is doing the same thing. It's a pressure system, and it's causing this pressure, or headphones are causing this pressure. So when you have the headphones on, sound pressure, just like when you sing a high note, has mounted in the head. And so when you go to sing, you think you're hitting an apparent note. But the Doppler effect, so to speak, or the equilibrium of the sound in your head is actually lower in pitch than what you're actually singing. Now, a lot of people understand how to do this naturally because they can hear what's called the fold back off the room or the echo from the room, and so they can adjust for that. But oftentimes, especially if you have headphones on and you're singing into a track, let's say you're recording or something, you're actually going to find yourself singing under pitch to the track. So you have to kind of overcompensate for that until it actually becomes natural. Now that's one example of many examples of how to accommodate pitch, understand pitch, and hear pitch. And maybe we'll do a whole section on pitch at some point.
Now sometimes you can see singers that are recording with both headphones on, and some have just one on.
Right.
Same with in-ears.
Right.
Why does that happen?
For me, I think that's dangerous, though I understand why people do it. Dimash is a good example of this, but is because when they have these on, a lot of times they're struggling with being able to feel like they can have what's called absolute pitch. So they'll take one off to hear what's happening in the room, and then they'll leave one on what they know to be true pitch or absolute pitch in the ear. The problem is that actually lopsides the equilibrium in the head, and now you're hearing a Doppler effect in two different dimensions. You're hearing the Doppler effect in your head, or the pressure mounting in the head, and then what the room is doing. So somehow they're able to find the mean average of the two and navigate themselves through that. I personally just leave them both on because I'm going, well, I'm going to have to learn to sing through this with pitch. Now, if the headphones are too loud or there's a frequency that's freaking them out and they can't hear something, oftentimes they'll take it off so they can actually hear something. Or one of the biggest reasons, which is another reason that these in-ears have become a lot more advanced, is that they're now making them to where they're not a closed system. They have as many as, I think, 30 different amplifications that shoot 30 different amplifiers in your ears, and then have like open back headphones where they're open, where you can actually hear the audience or the ambience from the room. Because what happens in that case is they feel a disconnect to the audience, and they're going, wow, I feel like I'm just in an enclosed, incubated system, and all of a sudden I've lost touch with the audience. Like when I used to have just wedges on the floor that were really loud, I felt the audience, I could hear them, we could communicate, I had this response, and now I just feel like I'm in a TV, I'm sitting inside of a television. So they take one off to go, okay, I've got a relation to the audience now, a relation to the room and what's happening in the room, and I can hear absolute pitch in my ear.
Cool.
So, yeah.
In a nutshell.
Next question.